Origin Jason reacts, and this is Napoleonic Infantry Tactics, a quick guide by the channel, obviously Epic History TV. One of the oldest channel that I've been reacting to this past year since I started this channel, right? I wrote the whole Napoleonic Wars. I think only 1 or 2 videos is on the channel right now. I had to delete others because I've explained in the past because of, it caused an issue with, lots of, I don't know, it caused lots of issue with certain things here and there, so I had to delete lots of videos. It was part of that. It's a shame because, it's one of the best history video reactions I did, but yeah. So I don't think I did this one, and this is not part of the Napoleonic Wars series, I guess, but this is just, a bit of guide about how Napoleon did his, tactics, how he created these groups and things. Because let's be honest, best thing about Napoleon and his marshals, that is how they fought. So this is going to be a fun video. A quick guide to infantry tactics and formation of the Napoleonic period, which first appeared in our video on the Battle of Aspern. In this video, we try to explain why lining up shoulder to shoulder was not as stupid as it first seemed, and how different formations were used to maximize firepower, mobility, and defense, all achieved through the miracle of drill. Yeah, we know how Napoleon basically moved like, it's like nothing. That he just basically moved one place to another. It was, by the end, it was comical. Like, he was literally fighting 2 armies at once by running back and forth and back and forth. So he created his whole army and, tactics in a way that they could move really fast. I mean, that's the best thing about Napoleon people remember, like how fast he moved his armies. So yeah, let's watch this one.
In the Napoleonic Wars, infantry fought in close order, packed together, standing shoulder to shoulder. But why present such an easy target for the enemy? First, command and control. Before radios, orders had to be relayed by shouted commands, drums or bugles. Difficult enough in the smoke and din of battle. Almost impossible if troops were scattered. Second,
Okay, what? First of all, how does shouting work at that kind of commotion? Too much fighting, screaming. And you're trying to fight an enemy, close quarter, because this is infantry. And somebody shouts in the distance, supposed to pay attention. Holy shit.
firepower. Smoothbore muskets were inaccurate beyond about 80 yards,
Yeah.
so volley fire, firing en masse, was the best way to inflict physical and psychological damage on the enemy. Third, morale. Soldiers were much more willing to advance into danger or hold the line if they did so together as a unit, urging each other on. Fourth,
I mean, that is damn true, right? Oh, I never thought of that. And also the leader too, because let's be honest, in most fight and battles, an emperor or somebody is just basically in the, I guess, capital city in his castle or some shit. Well, Napoleon, basically led the army himself, right? He had his marshal, which is kind of also, a leader type of figure. So when you're fighting, in your mind, you're like, okay, why, we are going to fight here. Lots of people that I know is going to die because of some stupid war, apparently, for the country, while the emperor is sitting at the castle or something, sipping wine or something. But no, that not in this case, because Napoleon was literally there. People could see him. People could see his marshals. People could see how his, this tactics is different, how they're fighting groups. There are lots of people. So the morale was immensely high. I guess, we clearly see that in the Napoleonic series. I mean, every soldier fought really hard. I mean, that was some different thing. And as far as, the firepower, basically, yeah, because of the round balls, it was never accurate, right? That's why, there is no round ball bullets now. It was never accurate. So they basically came in lines, shot, and then moved away, and then another line came. You could see them coming, and you could see they're about to shoot. And that's how it was fought. It was just ridiculous.
Defense against cavalry. Scattered infantry were easy targets for horsemen. Only by sticking together could they fight them off. The basic tactical unit of infantry was the battalion. A French line battalion had, in theory, 840 men, but in practice, nearer 500 to 600. Our example here has 605 men, a typical strength for a battalion on campaign. The men were divided into 6 companies, 4 fusilier companies, and 2 flank companies. On the right, the grenadiers, made up of the tallest, strongest men, often detached to form elite all-grenadier units. And on the left, the voltigeurs, specialist light infantry used for skirmishing in front of the battalion. Skirmishers moved independently, used cover, and fired at will to harass and unsettle the enemy, while preventing enemy skirmishers carrying out the same task. Most armies also had specialist light infantry units for this role, such as the British 95th Rifles, French Chasseurs à Pied, and Austrian and Prussian Jaeger battalions.
Okay, so skirmishers are just that the name suggests. I never thought of it like that. Yeah, so there, Napoleon literally had a group who basically just ran to the field randomly by themselves, without any, group, I guess, objective or something. Just, shoot everybody and just harass people. To, I guess, some kind of a psychological warfare, because, everybody was just scattered everywhere. Anyone was shooting, and, there was no pattern to it.
The traditional battlefield formation was the line. All companies formed up alongside each other, 3 ranks deep. Line formation maximized the number of men who could fire their muskets at the enemy, and limited casualties from artillery fire.
Oh yeah.
But it was extremely vulnerable to cavalry if it could be outflanked. And even for well-drilled troops, it was difficult to keep the line straight while advancing across broken ground. So, for maneuver and attack, battalions usually formed a column of divisions. This was a more flexible formation that allowed the battalion to advance quickly, though it presented a larger target to enemy guns, firing solid round shot that would tear through.
Holy shit, I never thought of that. I saw in lots of movies and things, but that actually happened. Imagine, basically marching with this kind of a pattern, right? One cannon shoots this massive cannonball. It starts to basically pierce through this area. One guy gets, basically get flung off. Then you see in the behind multiple people just get flung off because of, they were in the line of fire. That's just fucked up, man.
Through several ranks, and far fewer men could fire their muskets at the enemy.
Yeah.
Theoretically, therefore, the battalion would deploy into line before reaching the enemy. But carrying out this slow maneuver under fire wasn't always possible or sensible. So some commanders kept their men in column, relying on momentum to break the enemy line.
I mean, yeah, it's like, going to a fight and assembling your gun while enemy is trying to fight. That's what this is, right? Assembling your basically column into, basically one single line to attack the enemy while they are already there trying to attack you.
This was a risky tactic that often worked against raw troops, but led to high casualties when facing better trained infantry, like British redcoats. A column could be closed up quickly to provide protection from cavalry, or if there was time, could form a square. With bayonets fixed, the battalion formed an all-round defence that often resembled more of a rectangle. Enemy cavalry could surround the battalion, but not break in, as horses won't charge a solid wall of men and steel. But an infantry square was extremely vulnerable to artillery fire, and could only move very slowly. Changing quickly and smoothly from one formation to another, especially under fire, required training, practice, and experience. In 1809, the Austrian army began to use the battalion mass formation.
And this is when Napoleon had his marshals, right? Because every marshal has their own group of, I guess, battalions, right? So they basically trained their battalions when they are not on campaign, and basically tuned them to, I guess, so they would be more efficient, right, on the battlefield, and could follow the, how that particular marshal likes to fight. That is why Napoleon's marshal and his battalions were more efficient, because every marshal tailored his battalion the way he wanted.
But more suited to hastily trained conscripts. This was a dense column with limited firepower and huge vulnerability to enemy cannon. But it could quickly close up to repel cavalry using the same principle as the square, but without the complex drill, and was much more maneuverable.
Yeah, I mean, one thing's for damn sure. Napoleon was a genius when it comes to the battlefield, right? I mean, he was damn good. He was so good that if he didn't become too egotistical and just in the end didn't start to make so many mistakes, it would have been hard to, see how he was defeated. I mean, nobody is invincible. He would have been defeated, eventually, but it wouldn't be as how it was basically, because in the end he made way too many mistakes. But at the early times, he was untouchable. People saw him and people ran away. That was the trend at the early wars. Big ass wars, right? People come, try to fight, and they just see how, his battalions, his marshals, all of his soldiers are so, eager and so, ready to fight, so stable. That basically it became this kind of psychological thing that people just ran away. Even his, like he saw a tactical guide, his battalions are, trained in a way that it just suits its need, right? Marshal tuned them the way they wanted. So yeah. Right, people, that was Napoleonic Infantry Tactics, a quick guide with the channel Epic History TV. If you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe. Check out the bricks and they're selling in the season. Check out the cars over there, in cards, and yeah. I guess, I still have last 2 or 3 videos from Napoleonic Wars still on the channel. One of the oldest videos you could find, I guess. Others I had to delete, but yeah. Alright, I'll see you next time.